What's up everyone and welcome back to the UFC News Hub. Today let's get started with Alex Pereira challenges Ankalaev with $200,000 charity bet before UFC 313. Alex Pereira has officially raised the stakes for his upcoming fight against Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313, and it's got the MMA world talking. The two are set to face off on March 8th in Las Vegas, with Pereira defending his light heavyweight title once again. This will be Pereira's fourth title defense since moving up to 205 pounds, and Ankalaev has been waiting for this opportunity for more than a year. Finally, he gets his shot at the belt, but Pereira didn't stop at just signing the contract. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. He took things a step further. In a bold move, Pereira posted a public challenge to Ankalaev on X, offering a $200,000 bet. The terms: the winner donates the money to a charity of their choice. It's a move that reminds fans of the heated charity bet between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier before UFC 264.
Março, em Las Vegas, a gente está apostando $200 mil para fazer uma doação para crianças carentes ou crianças do câncer, né? Onde muitas pessoas estão precisando dessa ajuda, né? Como o Ali e o Ankalaev, eles parece que tem 100% de certeza.
In his tweet, Pereira wrote, "Since you are so confident you will win, $200,000 to the winner's charity of choice. Win or lose, this will help those in need. It's in your hands at Ali Abdelazizu at Ankalaev M," said Alex Pereira. It didn't take long for Ankalaev to respond. He made his stance clear, bringing up his faith and how betting doesn't align with his beliefs. As a Muslim, you know betting is forbidden in Islam, and also as a Muslim, every year I have to give 2.5% of my wealth to charity. This is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Many kids around the world are in need, and we can do things after the fight, but we don't have to publicize it, said Magomed Ankalaev. After this, Ankalaev followed up with another message, keeping things respectful but firm. Your manager and my manager have a good relationship, and we can let them handle that. See you soon. Ramadan Mubarak, said Magomed Ankalaev. This back and forth has added an extra layer to an already intense fight. Pereira wants to turn this fight into something that helps people, while Ankalaev prefers to handle charity in private. Both sides have their reasons, but in the end, all that really matters is what happens inside the cage on March 8th. With the light heavyweight title on the line and personal pride at stake, this fight is shaping up to be one of the most important matchups of the year. Fans can expect fireworks, and with the added tension between these two, the energy inside that arena is going to be electric. Volkanovski's training with Craig Jones. Fans go crazy. Alexander Volkanovski has once again got fans buzzing after he shared fresh training photos with world-class grappler Craig Jones. Volkanovski is deep into camp for his featherweight title fight against Diego Lopez at UFC 314, set for April 12th in Miami. These photos are more than just training highlights. They show just how serious Volkanovski is about reclaiming his belt after losing to Ilia Topuria. And having Craig Jones by his side is no small thing. Jones is one of the best submission grapplers in the world, a 2-time ADCC medalist, and he's been working closely with Volkanovski since 2021. Fans will remember how Jones played a huge role when Volkanovski defended his belt against submission specialist Brian Ortega. That fight showed just how dangerous Volkanovski is, even on the ground, escaping submission attempts that would have finished almost anyone else. Since then, Craig Jones has been a key part of Team Volk, helping sharpen his grappling to the highest level. Volkanovski posted photos from their latest training session on Instagram, and fans immediately reacted, praising his dedication and his choice of training partners. One fan said, "Get that belt back." Another fan said, "Just locked my tickets. Taking my son for his birthday. His birthday wish is you get that belt back. Let's go." The next fan said, "I'm fully convinced Volk will go his full career without being subbed." And another fan said, "W music, W champions." There are many more comments like these, and you can read them yourself to see how excited and supportive the fans are. It's clear that everyone is backing Volkanovski and can't wait to see him step into the octagon at UFC 314. After all, when you're preparing for a dangerous finisher like Diego Lopes, having someone like Craig Jones in your corner is a major advantage. But Volkanovski didn't just post photos, he also had a clear message for Diego Lopes, reminding everyone that he's far from done. I'm still feeling great, and with the 1%ers as well, you may be seeing the best Volk you've ever seen. I'm only gonna get better from here. That's a scary thing, especially for Lopes. Lopes is in for a very, very hard fight. He's a gamer, he's a great dude. I've got a lot of respect for him. Very nice fella, I'm sure he's expecting to go out there and win the belt. But sorry mate, that ain't happening, said Alexander Volkanovski. This fight is personal for Volkanovski, not because of any trash talk, but because he's determined to prove he's still the king of the featherweight division. Losing to Topuria was a setback, but for Volkanovski, it was also fuel to come back even stronger. With Craig Jones sharpening his grappling and Volkanovski's own elite striking and cardio, he's doing everything possible to leave no doubt in Miami. Fans are excited to see if the Volkanovski who shows up at UFC 314 really is the best version yet. And if that's true, Diego Lopes could be in for the toughest night of his career. Tony Ferguson leaves UFC after years of broken title promises. Tony Ferguson has finally opened up about leaving the UFC and signing with GFL, and his reasons go much deeper than just a career move. After spending years fighting under the UFC banner, Ferguson made it clear that the lack of real title opportunities pushed him to walk away. For a fighter who gave everything inside the octagon, the feeling of being left hanging time after time was just too much to ignore. Back in 2017, Ferguson reached the top of the mountain when he defeated Kevin Lee at UFC 216, securing the interim lightweight title. But that moment of glory didn't last long. His real downward spiral started in 2020 when he faced Justin Gaethje at UFC 249. It was a brutal fight, and Ferguson lost by TKO in the 5th round. That night not only cost him his title, but it also marked the beginning of a painful losing streak that followed him for years. Recently, during a heartfelt interview with Ariel Helwani on the Ariel Helwani Show, Ferguson didn't hold back. He directly called out the UFC for the way they treated him, giving him only a handful of real chances at the title, despite always fighting the toughest contenders. In his own words, "I have fought for I don't know how many years waiting for a championship, and then getting it, and then having it taken, and then dangling in front of me again. What do you think I am? I'm a human being. I'm not trying to bitch and moan, but at least if you do this to me, you're not gonna feel bad for doing it to the next person. And then there's a lawsuit and there's other things, but that's not what I'm focused on. My focus is always to what? Keep the sport moving," said Tony Ferguson. For Ferguson, the constant teasing of title shots, only to have them snatched away, was more than frustrating. It was exhausting. It became clear to him that staying in the UFC wasn't going to give him the future he wanted, and that's why now, at 41 years old, he's chosen a new path. His next chapter begins in GFL, where he's already set to face Dylan Dennis in his promotional debut. What's surprising is that despite everything, Ferguson doesn't hold bitterness toward his UFC career. In fact, he's at peace with how it all played out. Even though he endured 7 straight losses after that Gaethje fight, including defeats to top names like Charles Oliveira, Nate Diaz, and Michael Chandler, Ferguson says the journey still taught him something valuable. In his chat with Helwani, he shared a powerful moment of reflection, one that any fighter, or even any person walking away from something they gave their whole life to, can probably relate to. "I have to tell you, I packed up all my UFC stuff and put it into bags. It was the hardest thing I had to do. It was a couple of days where it took time for me to be able to adjust. I put everything in big storage bags and I was ready to move on. This entire process hasn't been a disappointment, but it has been a learning experience," said Tony Ferguson. For fans, seeing a legend like Tony Ferguson leave the UFC feels surreal. He was never just a fighter. He was a symbol of grit, chaos, and unbreakable spirit. But now, his focus isn't on the past anymore. Tony Ferguson is moving forward, ready to create new chaos somewhere else. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just someone who loves a comeback story, one thing is clear. This isn't the end for El Kuki. It's just a whole new beginning.